Step into the vibe, oh yeah. Feel the rhythm rise high, we're living life. Let's fly, off tap life. Sky's the limit, no shy. Off tap life.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and this one's a little bit different what we're doing because, well, I love my cars. I am a car fanatic. Absolutely love cars. Have since I was a very youngin'. And guys, I just want to really get back into making some awesome car content on my car channel, and maybe I'll even drop some of it here on my main channel here as well. You guys let me know in the comments if that's something you're interested in. But this channel originally, for you guys don't know, was meant to be about my off-tap life, meaning everything about my life that I enjoy, all the stuff that is me living each moment to the fullest and keeping it off tap. It wasn't meant to be a reaction channel that ended up being not only reactions, but more specifically music reactions is the bulk of the content on this channel. Now, there was a period where we did a lot of van life videos when I was doing all the van life stuff, going around, traveling around, which is fun, really cool. Would love to do some more kind of stuff like that as well. And I've also had car videos on this channel as well. But the majority of videos, as you guys know, is reaction videos. I mean, we used to even have regular vlogs on here where I was just vlogging just random stuff and some, not really, it wasn't really prank, but it was more of a like, giving out water to people or Oreos or something. I've done some of those videos as well, especially on my other channel. If you guys go to my Faith Chase channel, that has a lot of vlogs early on with my restaurant and all kinds of cool stuff. But it ended up becoming a reaction video channel too, with tons of reactions. And then I do have my dedicated car channel. The links are in the description for those main channels there. For you guys don't also know, I do have technically 70, 80 YouTube channels. I know it's insane, right? I had this idea I was going to make a bunch of different niche channels and just drop all kinds of content on each niche. Someone would be only a video a month or every 2 weeks, and then you have somewhere you're doing it every other day or something, so it would balance out. It was just that everything would stay niched instead of it all being on the one channel, right? But that kind of fizzled out because it's a lot of work. And I was dropping 7 to 8 videos on this channel, sometimes 10, 15, all reactions in one day, and we was daily dropping tons of videos every day. That's how we have over 2,000 videos on this channel, right? Anyways, we're going to do something fun. Now, it's time to revive said car channel, specifically car content, and also drop some of that said content on the channel. Like I said earlier, I would really like to do that. I hope you guys would come on a journey with me if I did do something like that. But I was looking on Marketplace, and for you guys who don't know, in 2025, Facebook Marketplace is kind of like the real go-to place to find some crazy deals. And I mean crazy deals. If you guys have watched some of my other car videos and stuff that I've done, I've found the cheapest 350Z in Australia. I found the cheapest, all these kind of good deals, right? And I found them on Marketplace. There was a couple Gumtree ones. Gumtree used to be a site where was kind of before Marketplace took off, Gumtree was where a lot of people would go to get a bunch of really good deals and stuff. But now Marketplace is kind of the place, especially if you're over in Australia where I'm at the moment. There's some other sites back home in the States. There's some really good stuff. There's really great sites where you can get some great stuff there. But still, even back in the States, Marketplace is kind of the place where you go to get that really juicy deal. A lot of people desperately flip stuff on Marketplace, out of desperation, so you can find some great deals because they'll put something on Marketplace hoping it will sell over the weekend or in a day, in a few hours. So you can find some really good stuff on Marketplace. So with that being said, I've been looking lately and I'm blown away. Something's happened literally within the past few weeks. I've seen the prices of so many things just dropping like crazy. The used car market right now has just changed drastically. I mean, there is things going for prices that just 6 months ago would have been double the price. And I'm just blown away. It's just like suddenly things have just shifted like that. And of course, there was always meant to be a time where prices of vehicles would go down, because you guys remember when COVID hit, everything went crazy. Used cars suddenly that were, a couple $1,000s are selling for freaking 8,000 and stuff, as the shortage of parts and different things, while COVID was going on, everything was shut down and all this stuff was happening. So people were selling just freaking rust buckets and crappy vehicles for crazy money, right? So right now, it's like, I think maybe it's that recovery period where things have dropped, and maybe I'm just not used to seeing things as cheap, but I can't even remember before COVID a lot of these vehicles now being as cheap. And mind you, though, I guess before COVID is now really, 4 or 5 years ago. So I guess things do tend to, depreciate in value over time. And some of these cars, I guess they are actually 20 years old now. A lot of these cars that, you don't realize it, that, wow, actually that's a 20-year-old car now, or that's a 15-year-old car, or a 10-year-old car, something that it's like it just suddenly, it's this reality check that a lot of these cars that you used to look at and go, oh, I'd love to get that one day, but it's too expensive. Now you can kind of look at them and go, okay, that's plausible. That's maybe doable. So one of the things I want to do is I'm going to do a flip series where I'm flipping to a dream car, and I still have some other dream cars I haven't obtained yet in my life. There's some that I've obtained, but there's some I haven't yet obtained. And so, getting some cars, doing them up, showing the process and the journey. Sorry, guys. Showing the process and the journey of getting a project car, a car, or a flip car, whichever the case is. Sometimes project cars become flip cars with that intention in mind. And sometimes a flip car is just solely a flip car because you just want it like kind of just a quick flip, you know what I mean? So I want to show the process, getting a car, my process of finding a good deal, getting that said deal, then cleaning it up, fixing the things that need to be fixed, whatever, doing what is needed to make it a viable flip, where then we flip it, hopefully, for a nice little profit more than what we paid for it. At the end of the day, though, profit is profit. So even if you flip it for $1 more, you still made profit. I mean, $1 more is not really a goal that you should be aiming for. You should want at least 5. But yeah, so that's what I want to do. I want to do that. I want to take you guys on that journey. And right now I've got Marketplace right here, as you guys can see. And guys, I'm just blown away by just, again, these prices. I mean, look right here. I mean, you start right here. You've got a 2003 BMW E46 now. They've actually kind of dropped in value for ages, so I'm not really too blown away with this, except for the fact that you see here, it is a manual. It's a 2-liter, it's a 6-cylinder, and it's $2,000. Now, I do remember if it was a manual 320i E46, and we're talking even again like 6 months ago, people would have been listening to this for 4,000 or 5,000, because manual is sought after. A lot of people are drifting the manuals. They're looking for E36s, E46s to drift, and so that's not a bad price, right? Like, I mean, realistically, this could be a cool project car. This could be a car that there's a lot of support for. There's a lot of cool parts out there. 247,000 Ks. And just for you guys back home in the States and stuff, let me make sure you understand these prices are Australian dollars. So in US, it would be about half the price, kind of, but a bit more. It's not exactly 50-50, but it's a quick way to just kind of get a general idea of what it would be in US dollars, is just to half it. But it's not exactly that. It's probably like 60-40 more realistically, or something like that. But just for quick math's sake, this would be like $1,000 roughly, for example, US. Now, also, I want to talk about the US market as well, because just so you guys also know, like, in Australia, cars are way more expensive than back home in the States. They're just like, there's a different market, you know what I mean? Mainly based on population, supply and demand, all that kind of stuff. Australia only has the population of California, basically. You know, even though it's a super huge continent, you know, they don't have as many people. And so cars, you know, cost more, especially stuff because it's imported from other places to here. And so things, and there's also, if you like, especially if you buy a brand new car that's imported here, they have this luxury car tax, import tax, all these things that cost a lot more. For example, a good example, a Charger or something like that, that, you know, you could get back in the States, you know, you might be able to find a good one or something like that for like freaking, you know, $40K or something like that. Here, that same car would cost $150K. That's an example of what I'm talking about. Like a Corvette here, like would be like 3 times the cost of what it would cost back in the States. That kind of situation. You know what I'm saying? Like the prices are just crazy when it comes to that kind of thing. So you guys are still probably looking at some of these prices going, that's $1,000? Man, that would be $600 here. You know what I mean? It still is probably cheaper back in the States, but for anyone living in Australia, we're looking at these prices now, we're going, man, that is cheap now. You know, so, but I mean, look, this is something I would actually like too, because I love BMWs. I've got my E36. You guys on the channel know, you've seen my Beamers and stuff in the past, and I love the classic ones. I like the E36. I love, E36 is my favorite. E46, E90. I think that would be my cutoff where my favorites is like E90. I'm an E36 through E90 kind of is my favorite. Don't get me wrong though. Hey, I'll take an F30 or something else. don't think I wouldn't take one of those better, newer ones. But you know, you gotta go where you know where you can afford to get what you can want to get. You know, I mean, you know, I ain't in the 2025 range. I'm in the 1995 range. Anyways, but this, I like that. That looks clean too, man. I mean, that's something that would be a great project car. I could see doing that. Look at that. That is beautiful. And the other cool thing is, if you're doing it now, if I'm doing it for a broad project build, I don't want it to be perfect, right? Because I want to be able to replace a fender if I have to, or, you know, do things. It's those little imperfections that help make it cheaper anyways. So if it's not completely flawless, means you can get the car for a better price. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you're not afraid to go and get hands-on and go to, you know, the junkyard somewhere, find some parts and things to freaking fix. Certain things are pretty easy. Anyone can fix, you know, if you just willing to put the time into it. So, you know, fenders, doors, hood, you know, these are all easy cosmetic things that are easy to fix if you are willing to put in the time, right? But I like this actually. That's not bad. 2,000 for that, man. Look at this. There's also this Mercedes-Benz Sprinter van, for example. Any van just like freaking a year ago, this would have been selling for freaking 10,000 instead of 5,000. You know, and we will be doing another van build at some point. I don't know when that's going to happen. I do have that in my plans of taking everything I learned from doing, because this was my first build here. I did this build in here, did everything myself, and this was my first build, and I learned a lot. You know, I did everything. I did the electrical, you know, I did the solar panels, I did the batteries, the benches, the bed, the shelving. Like, I did everything myself. I'm pretty proud of it, you know what I mean? So I'm going to take everything I learned from this and everything that I've kind of just thought about how I could improve on it moving forward, and my next one that I do, I'll take that and I'll just level it up. It's going to be cool. Another plan. That's why you guys should subscribe, because it's going to be some fun, cool stuff. And if you guys are OGs, we were doing the 24-hour live streams when I was doing van builds and a lot of van stuff, and it was crazy. We was doing 24-hour live streams. I want to bring that kind of stuff back. So, but anyways, look at these deals though. Like, yeah, that's probably pretty much what I would expect for that WRX at 13,005. But this is okay right here. This is a good example. Lately, Jeep Grand Cherokees and Jeep Cherokees. Wait, this is an older one, so nah, this isn't a good example. Jeep Grand Cherokees have suddenly dropped in price. I'm blown away, guys. Like, Jeep Grand Cherokees, and I've had what, 3 Grand Cherokees in the past, and I've always wanted to get another one. And the model I wanted to get is the more, modern model, the starting from, I think they're around 2000 and I want to say 2012 or 2013 upwards. They got the rectangle lights in the front, the little, they've come down in price so much. Like, you can, for a few $1,000s now, you can find them. And like in US, we're talking a couple $1,000s, and they used to be 2 to 3 times that price for them. So you couldn't find one that cheap. And now I see them regularly at that price. So that is something like, because I've been wanting, another thing I want to do is 4x4 content. I want to go, Australia has some amazing 4x4 spots, and this is Australia, man. There's lots of terrain where you can do some great 4x4ing. So I'd love to do some of that. I've done a little messing around, a little bit of 4x4ing before when I had my Jeep and stuff. And, I think it'd be some fun content. So we'll see. I've got some ideas. But look at this here, man. This is crazy. This can't be right. It has to be wrecked or something. All right, guys, listen to this. So this car here is a Ford Falcon. In Australia, the Ford Falcon is like one of the... Why is the internet so bad too? That took way too long to load. Okay, so the Ford Falcon is one of Australia's hero cars, right? They had the Ford Falcon and they had the Holden Commodore. These are Australian-made vehicles. They're made in Australia, and they used to be. They've now stopped making them. So these cars, even though they were the hero car of Australia, they used to be all over the place. They're like Aussie, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know, kind of a symbol of Australia, if you will, like very well known that, the Barra engine, for example, in the Ford Falcon is one of the best engines. Some people call it the 2JZ of Australia, you know what I mean? A sought after engine, and we got Holden Commodores in the States, but they're under the double S, Chevy SS, I think is what we call them as, or a Pontiac G6, I think it is, or something like that. We got them under rebadged, but they're actually made in Australia, or they were made in Australia. Even though Holden is an American company, it's just a subsidiary of GM. Blah, 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 blah. We don't need to get into all that. But anyways, the point is, let's talk about this car, because this price is crazy for an XR8. This is a V8, 6-speed auto, only 230 Ks for $3K. You would never, ever see that. A BF, this is like a 2007. 2000 to about 2000, could be between a 2005 to 2007 model. 2000, did the BF finish in 2007? Yeah, second half. Okay, there's no pictures of the car, so that's kind of dodgy. Why are they not showing the exterior of the car? I wonder if this is that's kind of, yeah, something's up with that. But if that's legit, because even now, I mean, I wouldn't expect to see an XR8 below freaking 7K. You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't seem right. And there's no pictures, so we'll move along. Because you guys also, unfortunately, if you go in Marketplace, there are also some freaking scams you got to look out for. So you do have to kind of do your research, make sure it's a legit seller and all that kind of stuff, so you don't end up freaking getting caught as some freaking, BS, you know what I mean? But, that would be a dope project car, a Toyota Celica. Get like an old school Toyota Celica. They only have old school Toyota Celicas. What I'm talking about, they're all old school because they don't even make them anymore. But like that model with the pop-up headlights, not this one broken. Well, if you get a good deal and you can fix it, but man, $2,500. I've actually started seeing a lot of these Celicas. I used to have this model. I love that white interior. That's been redone. I used to have a Celica, that model, before actually, and yeah, I always meant to do it up, and I never ended up doing it. This does not have 220 horsepower. Get out. That doesn't have. That's not accurate, guys. Unless it's a GT4, and I don't think that's a GT4. There's no way that's a GT4 for freaking 2,500. But that could be fun. That could be a fun little project, okay? But oh, look at this. A manual VY Commodore for 4,500. Okay, wait. Actually, that's the model. That's a VY. If I was getting a Commodore, it would have to be VT or above. I used to have a VT one. Stupid that I got rid of it. I sold it. I should have not have. Amazing cars. They're really cool cars. I've had maybe about 4 or 5 different Commodores, and I haven't even filmed them all. I've never filmed them all on the channel, because it was before I was doing my car. Actually, it was before I was even doing any type of. The only thing I used to use YouTube for was for my music stuff. You know what I mean? Originally, it was just all about my music and all that kind of stuff, and then we started doing all this other stuff. But look at this now. This right here, this is what I expect. So, okay, let me tell you something. I will say some cars have gone up in price. So even though there's a lot of stuff that's been cheaper, there are some cars that are going up in value. I've noticed a lot of people listing them for more money, and they seem to be selling as well. Like, you know, 2 cars that seem to be finally going up in value is WRXs, the older ones like this, and like I've got, y'all got to see my WRX, and then there is like 350Zs and stuff. They're going up in value depending on if it's manual and things like that. No one wants an auto for these type of cars. The auto ones, on the flip side, are kind of getting dumped for cheaper money. If you're someone mechanically minded or don't mind spending a little money to do a conversion, you can get a pretty good deal on one if it's auto first, and then you swap it to manual, and then you're in the money. You know what I mean? Because then it's sought after. But $15K for that, dude, that's clean. Look at that. Oh gosh, I love WRXs. They're so cool. Look at this, man. That's worth it. Hell yeah, $15K for that. Look at that. That is definitely worth it. That's a good price for that. It's about 7.5 US, which again, I'm in the States. You could probably find a good one for like 3 or 4K. If it's not an XR6 for Falcon, we don't care. We need it to be at least an XR6. That's the only thing. The internet is really slow. This should load in 1 second, and it's just taking forever. All right. No, we don't like that. No, that's a base model XT. Oh, look at that Lancer, how clean that looks. I love Lancers, you guys know I love my Lancers. I love those. To me, they're one of the funnest cars because they're, you know, they're fun to drive, but they're also like just really good on fuel. They're fuel efficient, great cars, and they're a car that surprisingly also, you can find some really good deals on them these days, like some really cheap ones. And then there's some that cost a lot, right? Like the prices on those, the range of the pricing, you know, obviously depends on if it's a freaking Evo or if it's a Rally Art or if it's a base model, or if someone feels like they've put some, you know, money into it to make it worth jacking up the price a bit and stuff. You know, it really depends on a lot of different criteria, but I think they're freaking just, they look good. They're still freaking looking good on the road. They've like aged great. They don't make them anymore, so if you got one, it's, you know, you hold on to and you do it right, who knows, right? It could end up becoming a classic. But stupid thing, Mitsubishi, like the Lancer, if you guys don't know, that was like one of the greatest best-selling cars of all time from Mitsubishi, and the only reason they started deciding they were going to do these crossover vehicles. And so they stopped like making Lancers. Like the last ones came out in 2017. Even though some car dealers were trying to sell the last 2017s as 2020s and stuff like that. that they had on their thing still, but technically they've stopped making them in 2017. So if you've got anything that says anything other than 2017, it ain't legit. It's a 2017. If it says 2021 or something, it's a 2017. Don't let them fool you. But you know, there's all these potentially really good cars that we could do a dope build on, like a really dope build, and a lot of cool parts and stuff too. Like there we go. See, this is an example of a VT Commodore. This is $850. Okay, blown head gasket and radiator. Okay, well, that's one reason why for that. But you know, this is one of those type of cars you could find an engine for it for probably freaking only a couple hundred. You know what I'm saying? You could find an engine, and you know, if you're someone who's able to do the work yourself, and this might only be a head gasket, so you might not even have to replace the whole engine, just a gasket. If you're someone mechanically sounded who could do that yourself, you just got yourself a bargain for $850, man. So I mean, if I was finding, if like I was looking for something like that, I'd be looking for, if it was a manual from the get-go, you know, like that's something that would matter to me. I mean, otherwise, man, like, and these look good fixed up. These look good just lowered. They just look so good. They're such a good looking car. And then some parts and things are still kind of on the, you know, high side. $1,400 for a carbon Lancer hood, which is, that's what they've been kind of going for. So a lot of parts and accessories and stuff haven't gone down in price. That stuff is still expensive, and depending on the car, if they've stopped making those parts, then a lot of them have gone up in price as well, because they're sought after, because the manufacturer ain't making them anymore. So people who have them, they're like selling them for top dollar. Like all the JDM stuff, all the Japanese cars and stuff, man, even like something like a gas tank or something like that, you could be paying $2,000 for if it's like off an S15 or S14 or something that like they don't make any of the stuff anymore, and someone's selling it and it's in perfect condition. They're making bank on it. That's why you see some people parting out their vehicles instead of selling it, because they know if they can part it out that they'll make way more money than they would have than attempting to sell it as a full vehicle. So but there's, you know, there's some really good deals if you take your time and search every day, which when I'm in like project car mode where I'm looking for, you know, parts and things like that, when I'm in that mode, I'll look every day. I'll look every day to see if there's a good deal or something. I'll start researching, and you just got to play the long game. You just got to be patient, and you just got to just scroll through and just, you know, keep scrolling, and every day you never know what you'll find. That's how I found a lot of my good deals. A lot of times I wasn't even looking for anything in particular, just randomly open up Facebook Marketplace and be like, holy crap, 5,000 for that, or 1,000 for that, or, you know, whatever the case is. Like sometimes it happens like that, and you know when you got a good deal. You know when you got a good deal, you got to jump on it quick, because on Marketplace, that's the thing. If you're not quick, there's people are going to beat you to the punch, and they will get it before you. So you got to be quick on here. You've got to be like those people lining up when they've got the specials going on at, you know, one of the stores, like maybe a new gaming console is getting ready to come out or something like that. And if you're not there early on, you miss out on getting it, you know, that kind of thing. Yeah, you better camp out 2 days in advance. Oh man, okay, what? We're not getting shown a lot of cars on this account. Usually I just scroll through here and see tons of cars. That's normally what I'm searching. Oh man, I want to get a Ute, guys. A Ute, for you guys to know what a Ute is, it's like a car truck. So it's like a car in the front and a pickup truck in the back. And like this is an example one. They've got the Commodore Utes here, the Ford Falcon Utes, and I want to get one. That is something that I will be hopefully able to get in the near future, because it's the convenience of having a ute. There's so many things you can put in the back of a ute to take and, you know, easily pick up stuff and drop stuff off. But they also just look cool, because, you know what I mean? Like a lowered ute. All you gotta do is lower them and they just look dope. This isn't a bad price for this, probably. If it's a manual. If it's a manual. If it ain't a manual, I wouldn't even... I need a manual. I'm only into manuals, guys. Look at this, another cheap Commodore. $800. You can find a good deal on one of these. It's definitely worth making. Let's go. That's what I'm talking about. Whole car, $800. Look at that. That's dope. Oh, okay, that's why. Sometimes you get excited and you see why it's cheap. Now, this might scare some people seeing this type of damage in the front, but if this damage here is because of, like, if let's just say it's not, let's say it's more cosmetic than it is, like, if there's no frame damage, like your frame rails and things aren't damaged, you know, if the engine and everything else still runs, you know, if, like, you know, there's no, like, suspension damage or any, like, this could still be a great deal. You know what I mean? But it depends on the extent of the damage. You also have to make sure it's not written off, because you got to check that. Because if a car is written off and you fix it, what you're going to do with it? Track it? Which is, maybe you are in some cases. You might just be happy to have a track car. But, you know, if you want a car you can drive in the streets, you got to make sure it's not written off and all that kind of cool stuff. So you got to do your research. It's very important to do your research. We're not going to, that looks like the front frame would be damaged, and we don't want that kind of damage. Minor damage is easy to fix. That's the kind of damage that, you know, you can work with. There's people who can work with that kind of damage too. That's not my, you know, you need certain tools and things. You got to be able to have like a frame machine, you know, to straighten and make sure everything is straightened back again and all this. Yeah, nah. If I was to get something like that was damaged like that, that is something you want to make sure you get a professional to do anyways. If you don't have the right stuff, because, you know, you need to make sure your car is safe. And, yeah, you don't be messing around with stuff that you shouldn't be messing around with. Okay, why are we getting so much freaking just yucky stuff on here? I just only want to see the cars. It's strange, because why am I not getting a lot of car stuff? Also, I'm probably because I don't, you would think it'd be the same still though, but I don't look on, I never look on Marketplace on my computer. I've only done that so I could, you know, share this video with you guys. I'm usually on my phone, but you would think they'd be connected. Anyways, let's check some 350Zs, because that would be definitely a project car that I have one, as you guys know, but it has a mystery problem that, well, according to the person I bought it from, which I found on Marketplace, which I got a crazy deal for. It was a crazy deal, such a great deal. There's videos about it on my car channel. Like, I drove the moment, so I seen that ad drop. The story about that car is crazy, but the ad dropped like 6 p.m. or something. I had me in Marketplace, 6 p.m. that dropped. I was like, oh, hell no. The price was ridiculously cheap. I'm like, there's no way, because that car is going for twice, 3 times the money. You guys can check out my car channel and for more info. But anyways, yeah, go watch the video. But it was such a good deal. I knew I had to jump on it, and I literally drove like 2 hours away, 3 hours away to get that car that night. I went and drove up and paid for it. I knew I wouldn't have got, and luckily I was the first one to reply to it. Like, it must have just dropped and I went, boom, holy crap. And I just happened to be opening Marketplace at that time. That's how I feel like it was meant to be. But we've got plans for it, but apparently, so I was told it was the water pump. That's what I was told. Now, I don't know if that's true, but according to the person I bought it from, they said that their mechanic said it just needs a water pump. I'm not sure if I think that's true or not. I don't know. You know, like, to me, I feel like I've never, like, the times I've started it, it's never overheated. If it was water pump, I feel like it would have overheated, but maybe I'm not running it long enough, to be fair, because I'm not like sitting there just running it for super long time. It's just to kind of maneuver around the yard. But it is running rough though, and so that makes me think it could be some other things, and maybe it is the water pump and in conjunction to something else. Maybe it also needs coil packs or spark plugs if I'm lucky. I'm hoping it's something minor. But gosh, if the whole engine's blown, well, you know, then we're kind of like in the whole, geez, rebuild or replace an engine. Both are very expensive. Do you do that, or do you find one that might already be in better condition, you know, from the get-go, that's cheaper, that's already running and perfect? And it could work out to be cheaper. It might work out to be cheaper to flip the one that is not running to one that is running in comparison to attempting to replace the engine and all that stuff. No, I don't know. But I bought it to be a project, and I bought it knowing that there was probably something wrong with it anyways, regardless. I already knew that, you know, for the price. So even if I was to end up having to flip the engine in it and something like that, it would still be value. Like, it would still be a good deal. Like, I'd still be freaking in the W. And that's 350Z was one of my dream cars. That was one of the cars I always wanted to get. And I had the 300ZX before in the past. I've had that. Amazing. Love them. I've always wanted a 350Z. And yeah, now we got one. We just never driven it like in a serious way on the road because it's just something's wrong with it. So we'll see. We'll see. Keep it locked and loaded on the channel and you'll find out. You know what I mean? You'll see if what happens. That's the point. I can't give it all away now anyways. You got to subscribe and watch the videos. But see, there's some really good prices that people are selling them for. There was a point where I felt like the prices were a lot cheaper. Were like, you know, 8, 9, 10,000, something like that. But it depends on, again, if it's automatic or manual. So I'm assuming, just looking at these, they're just 16,000, so it's got to be a manual. And also convertible. The convertible ones are cheaper. So they don't like convertibles over here in Australia. They're not a big seller. So if something's a convertible, you can get a good deal. If you are happy to take a convertible over a hardtop yourself, you could get a very good deal on a lot of those type of cars. Oh, this color, I love this color, man. This blue is special. I can't believe how long this is taking to load. This has never taken this long to load. Okay. It's like dial-up or something, internet. That blue, I love that color blue. This is nice. Look at this, guys. Oh, that's beautiful. Hell yeah. Oh my gosh. I had these same wheels on my Beamer. My black Beamer that I used to have. Yep, manual. Oh, 15K for that. So about 8,000 US. If you were in the States, you could find probably a good Z for half that, even for like probably 4 or 5K. If you're lucky, you can find good prices of great cars all over the world. You just got to be patient, like I said. Keep looking. But that is, oh, that's nice. Absolutely love that. I did want to get an RX-8 at one point, but apparently they just have too many. People say a lot of bad things about the engines on them. Another Z going for 19. I think it also depends where you're searching at, because, you know, if you're searching in Australia, like Sydney, I think car prices in Sydney are more expensive than if you were looking in like Melbourne or, you know, like Queensland, Southern Australia. Like, it depends where you're looking. I think the car prices on Marketplace also vary. But, because look at this Z. This one's 11K. But there you go. It's automatic. That's what I was saying. It's automatic. If this was manual, they 15, 16, 17. Okay. Z's are sexy though. Oh my gosh, man. I love Z's. They're so cool. 8,500. There you go. I told you, if you look, you'll find some deals. 8,500. What's the story? Auto. We knew it would be an auto. And convertible. See what I said? Convertible, auto. 2 death points for that. It's the 2 things people don't want in their Z. They don't want it to be a convertible, and they don't want it to be auto. That's why that's 8,500. But if you're someone who can be happy with convertible, like see if the top down, that looks pretty sexy. And if you're happy with an auto, get yourself a deal, man. You get yourself a Z for 8,500. I think that looks dope, personally. That's a good deal. I think that's a good deal. This one's 9,500. Probably another convertible auto. Yep, auto, convertible. See the trend? See the trend? It's another Z here. What is this one? Um, 9,500. It's manual. Okay, but it's convertible. Now here's the interesting thing. Okay, it's convertible, but it's manual for 9,500. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? That's interesting. I think the hardtop ones look better too, personally, though. Like, I like the, you know, the slick top. I don't particularly like the, oh, this reminds me, one day someone was selling, I'm not even joking, and I missed out on it. Guys, I attempted to get it. It was a 350Z convertible auto, right? We didn't, you know, again, but it was only like $1,000, and it was legit. It was someone who just freaking either didn't, because that's something you can also find sometimes. People don't know much about cars, they don't know what to sell it for, or they're just well off and they're just like, yeah, I've gotten my use out of whatever, let someone else get a, you know, good car for a good price, and they'll just sell it for cheap because they're not selling it for the money, and they're just like, yeah, $1,000, and it went for $1,000. It was a legit car, and it sold $1,000. Like, I just hope someone who really appreciates Z bought it, because it would suck if it was someone who just got it just to flip, which they would have made, you know, obviously good profit easily on that deal, but that's crazy, right? Like, when you miss out on those type of deals, that is just heartbreaking. Yeah, but yeah, look, there's probably, oh, see, I had this model, the 300ZX twin turbo. Mine had like about 600 horsepower, 500, 600 horsepower. It was a beast. It was worked. It had so much engine work done to it. It was manual, of course, and it was a 2-door coupe, but it was not the 4x4. It was the slick top without the big, you know, back seat area. And but yeah, I still like the 300ZX too, but attempting to find one that is... See, the problem with the 300ZX, and one reason I didn't like mine is they're really hard to work on. So any work that I would get done on that, I would definitely have to take it to a, you know, proper place to get it done, because the engine space in there is so tight and it's just hard to work on. It's not user friendly for, you know, someone who doesn't have a lift and can, like, a lot of things you have to take the engine out just to get to it. It's just a hard engine to work on, really hard engine to work on. But if you could find one that's not, you know, trashed, there's still a sexy car in my opinion to have. Would be cool to have all of them. Have one 300ZX. Actually, no, go back in time. If you, and it'd be really hard to find one now because they're really expensive. Try to find a 240 or a 260, 280. They're so expensive right now. If you can find one in good condition, and if it's not in good condition, it's probably rusted out and would require a lot of money to get back, you know, good. But imagine having every generation. Have like a 300ZX, a 350Z, a freaking 370Z, a 400Z. The 400 just dropped, guys. It's not even called a 400Z, but that name is stuck. They should have called it a 400Z. They just called it, what did they end up calling it? Just a Nissan Z, I think. But it's technically a 400. Oh, man. I saw a cheap 370Z too one day, and that was going for like way lower than what it should have. It was like 11K for a 370Z. Crazy. Ooh. Oh, okay. They've turboed this one, 28K. It's worth it because it costs a lot to turbo it yourself. So it's probably spot on. Look at this 370s. Oh no, that's not 370Z. It says it, but it's not. Oh, old school 300Z. So this is the model before the 300Z got the fate, like the completely revamped one. This right here was a 300ZX before the 300ZX. And this model is super cool if you could find one. And to me, that price seems super cheap for this one. Yeah, Z31. And then there's the 300ZX, that's a Z32. But like, this price seems great for this. I think if he was patient, he could probably get more for this. Because this is like, I think this is codenamed the California Z. 300 freaking no 12K manual, only 164K kilometers, if that's accurate. Holy crap, dude, this would be amazing. So he bought this as a project 8 years ago, bigger turbo. He spent 60K on this. See, that's the thing. You can find a good deal where someone else has already invested all the big money on it, and then they're selling it for way cheaper. Like, hello. This sounds so dope. Here's the kicker. Body is rough and got a decent amount of rust. And that's why it's cheap. Rust will destroy a vehicle. A starter motor died. Depending where it's placed on a car, that could be easy to fix or very hard to fix. Leaky T-tops. Yeah, a lot of the older cars, you got to worry about water if it was leaking inside and stuff as well. Anyways, you guys get the gist. This is what I would be doing. A lot of the day is just searching through, attempting to find a good deal on a good car and determine if it was going to be a project for myself, something that I wanted for myself, or something I wanted to flip. And as you guys can see, this is how you do it. You know, you find those deals, you be patient, You search. Marketplace is a great place to do it, and these days you can find some really amazing deals. Now, ironically, I don't know what was going on with this Facebook Marketplace, because a lot of the cheap stuff and all the car stuff that I normally see on here, I wasn't seeing on here. So like, I'm like, of course, I decided to make a video, and like none of it's showing up. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed kind of getting into the process of what I do to find cheap cars, and I'm seeing some of the stuff that's out there available now, and to get excited because, like I said, I'm getting my car channel, you know, flowing again with good content. We're gonna get some car stuff on here as well. Get another project car. Work on the project cars I already have. Just sitting there, not running, not working. So that's the thing, you know. You get them, you got to fix them and make them work. But anyways, lots of cool content. That's why they exist, is to attempt to make some really good car content and learn to do some of this stuff that I've never done myself. Like, there's some stuff I've done myself. There's some stuff I've never yet done myself. So it'll be fun. Should be exciting. Subscribe. Give me a thumbs up, all that. And remember to, on the fullest, keep it off tap. Off tap out.
We gotta get out of here! I'll catch you guys later for another vlog!